To consider contemporary American poetry is to assume that the poets being discussed are native to United States soil, that they have grown up in a shared culture of a young nation, and speak from the collective consciousness of the 20th century American experience. The canon of accepted modern works reveals a contrasting picture, one that more accurately reflects the origins of America as a melting pot of various cultures, all embracing and evolving into a unique blend of backgrounds and perspectives. Denise Levertov is a good example of this transplanted poet who is nonetheless essentially American. Her work aptly reflects the impact of a religious upbringing, education, and worldview that originates outside the United States, and how a poet is influenced by residing in America. In an interview with foreign-born American poet Ron Silliman, he says, "To be an American poet is a choice." While some native writers accept their Americanness almost without thought, Levertov's decision to immigrate to the United States and pursue her craft in the context of an American existence colors her poems with a special point of view. Born to a Welsh mother and a Russian Jewish father in Essex, England, who had themselves moved from Warsaw, Poland, Levertov's family experience was one of being on the outside of whatever community they lived among. Paul Levertov's work as a clergyman deeply influenced his daughter, resulting in her frequent topics of faith and often referencing biblical scripture, such as On the Parables of the Mustard Seed, where Levertov speaks of passages from Matthew, Mark, and Luke of the Bible books. She says, "Faith is rare. He must have been saying, prodigious, unique, one infinitesimal grain divided like loaves and fishes, as if from a mustard seed a great shade tree grew. That rare, that strange, the kingdom a tree, the soul a bird, a great concourse of birds at home there, wings among yellow flowers, the waiting kingdom of faith, the seed waiting to be sown." Here Levertov separates the worshippers, the birds, from the kingdom of the tree. They are at home there, but not at one with it, and still they are waiting for some fulfillment. The childhood lessons in faith are intertwined with the images of our parents, and this is true also of Levertov, such as in Illustrious Ancestors, where Levertov speaks of her father in connection with the faith. These issues are forever bound up with matters of religion, and Levertov's own turmoil is echoed in the finding of her later life that she understood them anyway, having listened well. Levertov's education also differs from the typical American upbringing and is highlighted in the poem This Day. It contains many images of European paintings and art, with a medieval lilt to the language. The years of her education spent homeschooling and exploring her world are in sharp contrast to the American public school system of the day, which focused on patriotism and American supremacy in the world. The global worldview of foreign-born Americans often allows them to see themselves in relation to the rest of the world as part of a connected whole. Native-born American poets often see themselves apart from other nations. In a country that has no historical buildings over a few hundred years old, it's hard to fathom a nation that is full of structures that may have stood for a millennium. While Levertov's religious background, education, and global view sets her apart from native-born American poets, we are still presented with the fact of her choice to become American and to write that way. In the previously mentioned Ron Silliman interview, he goes on to say, "Every poet lives in her country, whatever we think that might be. The contribution of foreign-born poets in the U.S. tends to be focused around their sense in that literature in which they see themselves participating. This is a powerful statement regarding a writer's choice to be a part of any recognized literary culture. Rather than be molded by one's environment and resigned to a native-born method of communication, one can actively find the culture that best fits his or her inner self. The work itself is a reflection of the author's inner life and can be altered or grown to more closely match the writer's instinctive expression. Levertov reflects this in the poem Action, where she says, "I can lay down that history. I can lay down my glasses. I can lay down the imaginary lists of what to forget and what must be done. I can shake the sun out of my eyes and lay everything down on the hot sand and cross the whispering threshold and walk right into the clear sea and float there, my long hair floating and fishes vanishing all around me. Deep water. Little by little, one comes to know the limits and depths of power." The change of focus from outward events to inner contemplation is where Levertov truly comes into her own as American poet. This close examination of a single object or act is more transcendent than her previous writings. This intense scrutiny of a simple subject is the essence of American poetry in her time. Levertov is not without a sense of humor, though. In If My House Were a Person, she plays with the notion of a popular game where people describe themselves as something else, a color, a tree, and so forth, but the poet turns the concept on its head, describing an inanimate object as a living person. In Pig Dreams, Levertov addresses the subject of American regionalism through the character of a pet pig named Sylvia. In the collection, Sylvia meets various animal friends who lead to her self-awareness. Levertov plays with stepping lines and a conversational tone that is reminiscent of some of the child poems that she read herself. This use of personification and attention to the simple or seemingly insignificant happenings of the everyday are the full expression of herself as a contemporary American poet. The marriage of her European past with her American present and future is further illustrated in Candles in Babylon, and in the piece, The Gift.
A gift. Just when you seem to yourself nothing but a flimsy web of questions, you are given the questions of others to hold in the emptiness of your hands. Songbird eggs that can still hatch if you keep them warm. Butterflies opening and closing themselves in your cupped palms, trusting you not to injure their scintillant fur, their dust. You are given the questions of others as if they were answers to all you ask. Yes, perhaps this gift is your answer.
A study of Denise Levertov shows that contemporary American poets, whether they be native-born or foreign-born, all reflect similar characteristics. Their education, their worldview, their family circumstances all come together to create a unique background that is then formed and shaped by their experience as Americans. Levertov imbues each poem with a sense of urgency and hope, as well as destiny, trusting in the prophecy that promises a time of peace.